this is a growing, organized movement. Yes, they're amorphous. They're out there, so it's hard to track some. But yet some of these leaders are very obvious. They operate on or off the dark web. They operate within groups like PSL Web or RevCom, Revolutionary Communists, or Party for Socialism and Liberation, two groups that I've talked about here for years. They're active. Anyone can look up their websites. I've gone to their meetings in New York. I mean, when it comes to the communists. So this is just the next generation, and they're using the energy against the right. They've pointed at an enemy. This is what the leftists do. They tie with Black Lives Matters. They tie with more Islamists or pro-Palestine groups. They bring them in, and they point it at Trump or the right. But it's not about Trump or the right. It's about tearing down society for their version of it.
These other groups like Black Lives Matter, are they tied to them in any way, or are they denouncing this type of violence?
They work with them. Whether they want to call it a formal tie or not, and I've been out in some of these rallies and covered them, they're actually side by side. So they're using each other's energy. They have a common goal, or at least they have their goals and common overlaps. This is what makes them dangerous.
You say, I mean, this came from Europe. So are they even Americans?
No, the idea is I call it the European anti-capitalist movement. You look at the growth of the EU, you look at the globalism, then you look at the anarchists who come, and you look at the refugee crisis, all these areas for concern. So they take advantage of that. They move to the United States. Why? We're the next target. And I'll tell you something, if they ever overcome the right in this country, they're just going to point to the next target. Problem is that major party like the Democrat Party, there are members that have tacitly endorsed or quietly supported these movements because it supports, call it their left-leaning gains.
What Democrats have done that? Have they done it publicly?
Keith Ellison and others, members of Congress with Black Lives Matter and these groups, anti-Trump, supporting this. When you give tacit support to a movement, when you support as a party, even by mayors and actions that they take on the left. Look at Wes Bellamy, someone in Charlottesville. That's been a big hot topic. Nobody's looked into his background and who he is. People need to look at these leaders, look at these elected officials.
So you don't buy the intelligence gaps argument. That's what the intelligence community is saying. They're saying significant intelligence gaps. We just can't infiltrate these groups to figure it out.
Look, there are always going to be intelligence gaps, but a compendium of information has been put together on these groups over time. They've been put together mostly by local law enforcement in the initial phases. You've got great counterterrorism in New York and Boston and other cities. You've even got them in Illinois, where you would think Rahm Emanuel would pay attention. But when the precinct level and up put together these reports and they ignore them, that's where part of the problem is.
So all of this stuff just makes me sick, you know. All right, David, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good to see you.